Now I'm going on to talk about the huge African American Culture Festival that is happening today on Fayetteville Street Mall and tomorrow. And I have a special guest with me. I mean a special guest. And not only, and not only, and not only is he a hip hop educator, he is tough. He is brilliant with history. I mean, he have all of this down pat. Good morning, my special guest.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy to be here. I'm having a great time. It's a pleasure to be with you again. We back at it. And good morning to you. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling fine.
Excellent.
Well, introduce yourself.
My name is Larry Henderson. I'm the CEO as well as featured artist of Smart Music Entertainment. And at Smart Music Entertainment, we use hip-hop music to promote the importance of learning by meshing educational content with hip-hop beats.
And I would just like to say, at our youth summit on Thursday, the kids were so impressed with you, but I was just impressed with your deep knowledge. I mean, you went way back past slavery, talking about education and youth, and and you talked about how important knowing about your past is for the kids.
Definitely. Have to make that connection because a lot of kids often say that we are just the descendants of slaves. So I definitely want to make that point that we are a descendant of enslaved Africans, and that means something. Just that word enslaved alone changes the frame of the conversation.
I mean, I was just impressed with your knowledge and how you related rap, educational rap, back to the youth.
Yes.
And then how you talked about the history of it. You were just so deep. I had to ask your wife, you know what, a lot of times people may say, is this a geek up here talking?
I mean, I've never been called that. I think I just had a path of just reading, and that was just, I started reading at an early age, and it's just grown and grown and grown. And then I would get into debates, I would get into arguments, and I wanted to know more to equip myself to handle myself in those debates. And this was debates on the corner. It wasn't, I'm not talking about an academic environment. I'm talking about, Muslims going after Christians and, people who believe in politics versus people who don't. And, 5%ers, going against the Sunnis. It was just those type of debates, were happening all around me. And that was the environment that I grew up in. And in both communities that I lived in. I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I grew up in New Brunswick and Willingboro, New Jersey. And in both of those environments, I was always just surrounded by the same group of people, it felt like.
So what made you go into hip-hop education and the importance of it?
Well, it's two different paths that led to that. Number one is just being a hip-hop artist. I started rhyming in the 3rd grade, so the passion from hip-hop came from that, battling people. Early on, I was listening to, Run DMC and LL Cool J and Cool G Rap and Public Enemy and people like that. So my love for hip-hop came from that. And then as far as education, just reading at an early age and reading, the narrative tales of Frederick Douglass, Race Matters by Cornel West, and the autobiography of Malcolm X, just reading books like that, Nile Valley Civilization by Anthony Browder, the ISIS Papers by Dr. Francis Wilson. Reading books like that gave me a love for knowledge and history. And those worlds merged because I wanted to do more utilizing hip-hop to promote the importance of learning. So having the knowledge that I have and having the skill set that I have, it was easy for me to do, and it was something that I could and can and will continue to do.
Well, and what's important that I want my listening audience to understand that Mr. Henderson, he is just awesome with his rap. And I'm not into a lot of rap music, man. And I told him that. I said, I don't know about all this hip-hop stuff. He said, this is educational hip-hop.
Right.
This is educational hip-hop.
Educational hip-hop.
It's educational hip-hop.
It's hardcore at the same time, though. You know what I mean? So you was listening to real hip-hop music. Nothing. This is not a gimmick. I'm This is not Sesame Street, not Barney type of rap. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I mean, I learned a lot from Thursday, but I also liked the way you was just, for real. And you related it back to the positive, that when we're listening to this negative rap, as you said, they are really telling a story.
Right.
And that some people don't want to hear that story.
Right.
And it may be in the mannerism in which they're telling it, but there's a story, and there's a real life story behind it.
Definitely.
And I learned that from you. And
Thank you very much.
And so now I think I may listen to some.
Right.
But but I'll be honest now. Now if they're doing all that cursing, I just have to tune it out. Because as you said, that's that life that was lived.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's it's a lot of hip hop music that I hate,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't stand, and it sounds the same, and everybody's telling the same stories, and that has a lot to do with how the industry has been constructed and what they are allowing people to say and not say it, and how they give out record deals and who they play. But authentic hip hop music and authentic artists tell millions of stories. It's not just about the hardcore negative female bashing, drug selling. It's not all of those things that we hear on the radio every day. That's just not the entire representation of hip hop music. We just don't get a chance to hear everything. They don't expose us to that. I don't think that I think there's an agenda with music, to just keep it all real. There's an agenda, and it's people, they don't want you to, and when I say they, I'm going to be very particular. There are executives with millions of dollars, even billions, who want to send out a particular message, especially to the urban youth, and that message is very negative, and it dumbs you down. And once you start uplifting and talking about what they can do and getting into their own potential, you're tampering with the mainstream's money, and the mainstream's agenda, and they don't make it easy for you to do. But artists like myself, we formulate companies like Smart Music Entertainment. We come from the streets, so we know how to relate to the people in the streets, and we're talented. You have to have a certain level of talent to also be able to strive in this kind of industry. So hip hop is it's not all of the negative stuff that we're used to hearing every day. That's just a small window. But the artists that are doing more positive things, you have to support them. You have to find them online, and you got to spend your dollars with them, because that's the only way that the forces that be will respect their message, and that's the only way we'll force them to play this kind of music on the airwaves. Like, I think I've been forcing them to play my music.
Well, you have some nice music, and before we go to break, I want to play some of your music, but I also want everyone to know that you will be performing today at the African American Culture Festival on Fayetteville Street, and you will kick off your first performance at the Village, am I correct?
Family Village.
At the Family Village, and you will come on at what, 4 o'clock?
At 4 o'clock. I'll be on at 4 o'clock at the Family Village, and I hit the main stage at 4:45.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for the main stage. Okay?
Excellent.
I'm gonna be there for the main stage, and so I would like to play some of his music going into break. Okay. And this is Mr. Larry Locke Henderson. He is an educational hip-hop performer, and he is awesome. I learned something.
Thank
you. Yeah. I'll play a little bit of them, then we'll come back.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you.